A man discovered an easy way to make money. All he had to do was pretend to be blind. Not only could he beg shamelessly at the temple entrance, earning 3 times more than others, but kind-hearted folks would also help him cross the street. With his blind persona, he even managed to live rent-free in government-provided housing. Using his identity as a pianist, he'd visit people's homes to play for them. Since no one suspected a blind man, he often caught glimpses of the lady of the house's private moments. Little did he know, pretending to be blind would become his life's biggest regret. One day, as usual, he went to celebrate a wealthy man's wife's birthday. However, upon opening the door, the woman seemed reluctant to let him in, claiming he might have gotten the time wrong. But Aka had already received a deposit from the rich man, with a considerable sum due after the performance. He couldn't possibly be mistaken. As they argued, their voices attracted the attention of an elderly neighbor. The woman, not wanting to draw more attention, had no choice but to let him in. Once she confirmed Aka was indeed blind, she felt at ease letting him play the piano. But he had barely started playing when he was startled by the scene before him. In the living room lay a corpse. He finally understood why the woman didn't want to let him in. He couldn't show his nervousness and excused himself to the bathroom. As he passed through the living room again, he intentionally stepped on the red blood on the floor to appear more like a blind man. He thought the bathroom would give him a moment to calm down, but it turned out to be the most terrifying place. The murderer was hiding behind him, gun in hand. Aka was too scared to breathe for fear that the murderer would realize he wasn't blind and silence him. Fortunately, he didn't arouse suspicion. When he returned to the living room, he saw that the dead man was the wealthy husband himself. Although his heart was filled with dread, he had to keep up the act and continue playing. Meanwhile, the woman pretended to contact her husband. Then, right in front of Aka, they brazenly dealt with the rich man's corpse. Before long, the man stuffed the body into a suitcase, ready to dispose of it. Simi, the wealthy man's wife, purposely went to the door to create the illusion of welcoming her husband home. She took out a pre-recorded message of her husband and pretended to talk to him in front of Aka. After a few lines, Simi made an excuse that her husband had to go out suddenly. The man then put on the rich man's clothes and dragged the suitcase out the door. After leaving the wealthy man's house, Aka didn't go home. Instead, he sat by the roadside, hesitating about whether to report the crime. The rich man wasn't just known locally for his kindness, he always tipped generously whenever he visited the bar where Aka performed. Aka couldn't believe that the man he had laughed and joked with just yesterday had been murdered by his own wife today. In the end, Aka made up his mind to go to the police and seek justice for the wealthy man. When he arrives at the police station and tells the officer he's reporting a murder, he sees the man hiding in the bathroom. To his shock, the man was wearing a police uniform. He was the police chief. Aka was at a loss, his heart leaping into his throat. Inspired by the sensational 2010 French short film of the same name, Andhadhun is a 14-minute drama about a blind piano tuner in the world he sees, and heightens the suspense and tension when he breaks into a murder scene, with a gunshot at the end. The gunshot at the end is a masterstroke, becoming a textbook existence in suspenseful dramas. There are more than 50 reversals in this movie, and every reversal is like facing Schrodinger's cat, and if you don't go to witness it with your own eyes, you'll never know what will happen next, don't you think so?